Twisted here with Open and Sorcery, and today we're going to go ahead and talk about Archangel Azrael. Now, unlike a couple other videos that I've done prior to this one, where we did bibliomancy to go ahead and find different angels using the Encyclopedia of Angels by Rosemary Geely, to go ahead and find different angels that wanted their story told, wanted their perspective shared, to go ahead and communicate with others, right? We did the bibliomancy, yes, but we did not necessarily need to utilize tarot cards, and by we, I mean Devi and I, to go ahead and relay the story of Azrael, because I'm rather familiar with them, like I said. And pretty much they are known as a angel of death and sleep. Now, that is particularly attributed to Judaism and Islam in of itself. By my understanding and awareness, this is not necessarily something explicitly mentioned within any Christian lore or text. Now, in regards to Azrael, right? You hear an angel of death. Oh, what? That sounds spooky. That sounds scary, right? Like, they must be bringing, like, an onslaught of, death and destruction and all that sort of thing. But truth be told, they actually have more so a benevolent nature than the name implies. For those who have a negative view of death, that is, or a fearful view of death. They are very much the sort of entity that when you're going through hardships, whether it be your own death or the death of a loved one, any sort of grief, any sort of pain, they are there to comfort and console you. They are there to go ahead and see you through dark times and such. I myself can go ahead and attest to this personally, that when Azrael popped in to my spirit of awareness into my life, I was going through a personally tough time. And the way they went ahead and presented themselves, the way they went ahead and presented themselves to me, very much so was indicative, like, hey, look, I'm here for you. I got your back. And it was very unsimilar, or dissimilar, I should say, to how any other entities tried to reach me beforehand, except for Archangel Michael, a rather long time ago, but that may be a story for another time. In any case, so Archangel Azrael has been there for me and has been there for others in their times of need. And when it comes time for not only you, but I or anyone to pass, Azrael will be there to guide you. Now, I will say this. That depends on your sort of religion, your sort of spiritual perspective, your sort of faith. Different entities will go ahead and play that role based on whom you are, based on what you grew up with, what culture you're in, so on and so forth. But if you happen to fall within the Abrahamic realm, don't be surprised if you come across Azrael. And they will go ahead and lead you towards the white light, to continue on in the reincarnation cycle, if you are meant to go ahead and continue along with the progression of lives, as it were, if you still have lessons to learn and all that sort of multi-life education that we all must endure, as painful as it may be at times. But I can go ahead and personally attest that Azrael has helped souls cross over to the other side. I can remember having the assistance of Azrael, along with other angels, when Devi and I, as well as other people, were called upon to help lost souls cross over to the other side. So yes, that is a bit about Azrael. And one thing I wish to go ahead and note here is that when it comes to the color you can visualize them with. Now, I personally just think of straight up black. Straight up black. But in Devi's sort of what they visualized, right? She went ahead and visualized black for the most part, but a little tiny hue, a bit of a tinge of purple within that. Now, when it comes to said color, I will go ahead and provide a link to Encyclopedia with a particular color code attached to it that you can click on to see this particular sort of black with this little purple tinge on it. It's not a complete black. It's almost there, but got a little bit of something to that. And when that was told to me by Devi, when we were discussing, the bibliomancy and Azrael coming across to us and all that sort of thing, I had a thought pop in my head that I didn't necessarily express to her at that moment. And that was that, so when we think of the 7 traditional chakras, when it comes from Hinduism and the more so modern occults and new age sort of, interpretations of them, right? At the highest we have the crown, which is purple, right? And, above that, there's different sorts of colors that are unimaginable to humanity. And what I think about is that the blackness that Azrael embodies, having that little tinge of purple, is like, hey, look, I am the connection between that crown chakra, or that high, the high spiritual vibration of the knowable. I am that bridge from the knowable to the unknowable, in a sense. So that's just a thought that came across. And to however you could say accurate it may be, I leave that for you to decide. So, with all that said, once again, this is Twisted with the Opener Sorcery, and stay frosty, niggas. Peace.